In this lesson, we're going to learn how to divide polynomials by monomials. So let's get started. So our rules for dividing polynomials by monomials. The first one is we want to divide the denominator by each term in the numerator. And then we want to subtract the exponents that have the same base. So if you're familiar with your exponent rules, we're going to do the same thing here. So our first problem here is 8x plus 16 divided by 4. So we want to divide 8x by 4 because it's our first term, and then 16 divided by 4. So I only have one x or one variable, so no need to subtract exponents here. So I'm simply going to divide 8 by 4. So 8 divided by 4 gives me 2, and 16 divided by 4 gives me 4. Nothing else to simplify here, and that is my final answer. Simple as pie. So if we look at number 2, I'm going to do the same thing. I have a few more terms here, but if you notice, we have a b for our denominator. And remember, if you don't see an exponent on a variable, there's an understood 1 here. So I'm going to put a 1 here for this b, and then for 2b, I'm going to just put a 1 here. So now I'm going to divide each term in the numerator by b. So I have 9b to the third divided by b to the first power, negative 5b squared divided by b to the first power, and 2b divided by b to the first power. And so the first term here, I have a 9 and a b to the third and a b to the first. I'm going to subtract that to get 2 right here. I bring down my 9. That's like 9 divided by 1, because also you have a coefficient of 1 if you don't see it. So just bring down that 9. And then minus, so make sure you're looking at your signs. I'm going to bring down this 5, because again, that's like 5 divided by 1. And 2 minus 1 is just 1b. So this is understood 1 right here, but we don't put it. And then we have a b to the first at the bottom and a b for this 2b. So that actually cancels out. If we subtract 1 minus 1, we just get 0. So we're just left with that 2. And this is my final answer. I have 2 more that I would like to show you before I have you try 2 on your own. And the first one here, number 3, we have 21d to the third minus 7d squared plus 14d divided by negative 7d. And of course, like I did in the first 2, I want to divide each term in the numerator by my denominator of negative 7d. And so I have 21d to the third divided by negative 7d. So again, don't forget that negative. And negative 7d squared divided by negative 7d. And 14d divided by negative 7d. And again, we have an exponent of 1 on this d here. So we've added 1 right here at the bottom. And so I want to divide my coefficients, so dividing each one, and again subtracting my exponents. So 21 divided by negative 7 gives me negative 3. 3 minus 1 gives me that d to the second. Now I have 2 negatives here. So if you divide a negative by a negative, what do you get? Remember, a negative divided by a negative is, of course, a positive. So that is why I have a plus d. Now, my 7's cancel out because 7 divided by 7 is just 1. We don't put the 1. There's an understood coefficient of 1. And then 2 minus 1 is just 1. So again, that understood 1 that we don't see. And then last, we have a negative 14 divided by a negative 7. So different signs, we're going to always get a negative when you divide 2 different signs there. And then 14 divided by 7 is a negative 2. Our d's cancel out because they each have just one d, or 1 minus 1 is just 0. So this is my final answer. Negative d squared plus d minus 2. Last one I'm going to do with you. Same process. I'm going to divide everything by 6y to the third. So I have negative 30y to the fourth divided by 6y to the third. and minus 6y to the third divided by 6y to the third. So a lot of canceling out going on here. And so I'm going to divide negative 30 divided by 6 right here. That gave me that negative 5. And then 4 minus 3 gives me 1. So I'm left with negative 5y. And everything will cancel out right here. 6 divided by 6 is just 1. And y to the third divided by y to the third, that cancels out. And so remember, when you have a numerator and a denominator that are the same, it reduces to just 1. So remember, if you have something like 3 divided by 3, that just reduces to 1. So same process here. 6y to the third divided by 6y to the third is just 1, and we have this negative here that I forgot to mention, or that minus. And my final answer is negative 5y minus 1, and that is my final answer. So these last problems here, I would like for you to pause the video and try these on your own. And I did give you 2 harder ones intentionally because I know you could do it. Little more challenging, just a little bit, because you have 2 variables right here, right? But to kind of help you out, you're going to still just subtract the variables with the same base. So my a to the 6th and a to the 3rd, I'm going to subtract those, and then your exponents with the b. So still subtracting your exponents, but just make sure you are paying attention to the base or the letters that you're using. So go ahead and pause the video and try these 2 problems on your own. Alright, so go ahead and check your answers here. For the first one, I got 5a to the 3rd, b to the 2nd, minus 3b to the 6th. And for the last one, 4p to the 6th minus 2p squared plus 1. Again, just make sure you're dividing your coefficients correctly. Pay attention to your signs. So I got a negative 45 divided by negative 9 on the first one, so that gives me a positive 5. And then 27 divided by negative 9. Remember, when you're dividing and you have 2 different signs, a positive and a negative, it's going to always be a negative or a minus. And so just make sure you're paying attention to your signs. And once again, with your exponents here, if you don't see an exponent on this b or any variable, that is a understood 1. So don't forget that 1. So divide your coefficients, subtract your exponents with the same base, pay attention to those signs, and don't forget that 1 on the base if you don't see it there. But hopefully you got them correct. So we've reached the end of our lesson. I want to thank you for learning with me. Some related videos are adding and subtracting polynomials and multiplying polynomials. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And once again, I want to thank you for learning with me.